This is a moment where it's better to be safe than to be sorry. So we think the prudent, the responsible things take a pause in this particular aspect of this refugee program in order to verify that terrorists are not trying to infiltrate the refugee population. In the end, the ultimate solution to this crisis is a strategy to defeat ISIS.
Fear-mongering or common sense? The need to protect Americans at any cost versus what one elected official is calling the need to choose love regarding Syrian refugees. Illinois is becoming a ground zero for the refocused immigration battle, and we are on a collision course featuring everyone from governors to community leaders. Our guest is Republican Congressman for Illinois' 10th District, a member of the powerful and influential House Ways and Means Committee. And in the midst of this tussle over immigration, he has supported a pathway to American citizenship. It's a pleasure to welcome Congressman Bob Dold to the Hardline. Congressman, I want to thank you so much for joining us, and we are going to bring this around to Illinois in a moment. But first, let me just ask this question. Is this just what we have been given as a nation? It is unfortunate, but the fact that terrorists around the world have so much power, so much influence, and are killing people so conveniently that we've got to do something. It may not fit our humane need, but if we don't do this, there's a chance Americans might die.
Well, I think that's absolutely right, Ed. And what we want to do is we want to talk about a common sense approach. And frankly, our first obligation needs to be making sure that we're protecting American citizens. And so what you heard from the speaker is what we want to do is hit the pause button so that we can verify through our intelligence agencies, so that they can verify that people coming into our country from the Syrian and Iraq areas are indeed not a threat to the United States and to our citizens.
Now, here you have Carlos Ramirez Rosa. He is an alderman in the 35th Ward in the city of Chicago. He writes a letter to the president and says, "In the face of hatred and fear, my community chooses love." Look, we all understand what America needs to be, but is this not just exceptionally short-sighted and just plain wrong in the time that we live in?
Well, I will say this. We are a nation of immigrants. But we also need to recognize is that we're in the midst of a war on terror. And what ISIS has said is that they want to take the fight to us. And what we've seen is we've seen a lot of able-bodied men coming across the borders. We want to make sure that, again, we are opening our doors to Christian Syrians, the Syrian Christian population, which has been persecuted, and to others that are legitimate refugees. However, I think we need to take a pause so that we can understand and allow our intelligence agencies to determine, are these individuals that are coming across the borders looking for safe haven? Are they going to be legitimate refugees, or are they actually a Trojan horse for ISIS?
Would you get behind that in this pause, doing everything as expeditiously as we possibly can, as quickly as we possibly can, to vet these people? There is no real vetting at this point. We really don't know how to check these people, and we're doing a terrible job of it. Isn't that part of the issue here?
Well, it is part of the issue. And frankly, some of the intelligence experts will tell you that we're having a very difficult time being able to vet these individuals because there is no database over in Syria right now. Some of the churches might have some databases that will be able to determine whether the individuals are who they say they are. But right now, that is really the dilemma that we face. And so hitting that pause button, enabling us to be able to do all we can as quickly as we can to make sure that we are providing safe haven for refugees, but also make sure that we're safeguarding a national security issue for us, safeguarding the citizens right here at home.
Congressman, I've got about 40 seconds left here. There's now talk of a government shutdown over this specific issue itself. Would you support shutting down the government to stop the flow of refugees coming into this country?
I don't think that this is an issue about shutdown or not shutdown. I think this is an issue where we want to talk about national security. And frankly, that's what we need to be focusing on. This is not about shutting down the government at the time we're in the midst of a war on terror. That would be a bad, I think, a bad move, and that's not one that I think that the speaker is looking at.
In your own case, though, would you then say and go on record that you do not want to shut down the government over this? This is your own opinion.
My own opinion is we do not want to shut down the government over this. We want to make sure that, again, we are keeping our doors open in terms of letting the government operate. We need to make sure that our intelligence community is fully operational. We need to make sure that our military is operational. So this is not the time for us to be shutting down the government. Having said that, I do think that this is an opportunity when we talk about national security, that this is an issue that we do need to take and hit the pause button for the safety and security of the United States and its citizens.
We have to stop knee-jerking no matter what it is. We have to take the pause. I think that's very properly put. Congressman Bob Dold, I want to thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Ed, thanks for having me.